Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the workshop today. This presentation is being recorded, which means we're going to send you a link to it. It also will be emailed to you in the form you see on the screen. And if you have questions, please type them directly into the chat box. We will collect them and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. It's going to be a very good presentation today. We have the honor of a very well-informed and experienced representative of our business community, Lilia Rudan, with us from the Better Business Bureau. But first, we want to take a poll. And so the first question in the poll is, do you own a business? Yes, no, or planning one. Number two, have you attended a SCORE webinar before? Yes or no? And have you or your business ever been scammed? Sorry, we have to ask that question, but yes or no? And so we're going to launch that poll and ask you to fill it out. Do you own a business? Have you attended a SCORE webinar? And have you or your business ever been scammed? We're going to take another, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds on that. So, okay, thank you to the little over half of you that participated in the poll, and most of you own a business, but 20% not yet, not, and 20% are in the planning phase. 60% of you have attended a SCORE webinar, and welcome to the 40% who are new. And have you ever been scammed? Well, only 40% of you or your businesses have ever been scammed. I suppose I could have asked you if you know anyone who'd been scammed, and I am pretty sure we would have gotten up to 100% that way. Everybody had a chance to look at that. I'm going to assume you have. I'm going to take us now to the opportunity to turn it over to Lilia Rudan.
Good morning, everyone. I am Lilia Rudan. I'm with Better Business Bureau, serving Central California and Inland Empire counties. I am Marketing, Communication, and Outreach Manager for the Better Business Bureau, and I am excited to be here today and to talk to you guys about scams against businesses and consumers. First, of course, we wanted to thank SCORE for partnering up with us and allowing this opportunity to talk to you guys, as well as our sponsor, Commworld. Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's stay there and give you a little bit of an overview of Better Business Bureau. We are a standards-based community benefit organization, and we provide information to consumers and businesses, but our biggest core service would be our business profiles that we provide to consumers in our service area, where if you're looking for a business and you're not sure if it's a good business, you're not sure if that's someone you want to deal with, you can always look them up on BEB.org. Chances are we have a profile for them. And then you can take a look. Have consumers been filing complaints? If so, have those complaints been resolved by the business? What's the rating that BEB assigned to this company based on their performance in the marketplace? Do they have all their licensing that is required for their industry? And even contact info that perhaps you didn't have before, but it is being displayed on that profile. Same with customer reviews. You can file a complaint or review, file a review or file a complaint on that profile. You can even get a quote from one or multiple BBB accredited businesses, eliminating the legwork for you. And those businesses will come back to you with the bids for products or services that you are looking for. And the very last program or benefit, if you will, that I want to talk about is BBB Scam Tracker. And we will focus heavily on this particular program today because the topic is scams against, businesses and consumers. And the BBB Scam Tracker is a free online tool that you can utilize both two ways. You can either report a scam after you've been a victim and just let us know what happened. Just give us as much detail as you can. That way, it lives there and it can possibly prevent someone else falling victim to that particular scam. And not only that, we have actual authority agencies syncing into this BBB Scam Tracker to look at patterns of what's going on, launch investigations if they have enough meat there. But also you can use it as a research tool, right? So if you are unsure about something that's going on in your life, if you think you possibly might be getting scammed, you can go there and you can put in keywords, you can put in, certain things that might pop up and you can tell that that's a scam that others reported. If we can take a look at the next slide. Let's go one more slide. I just want to give you an idea. Oh, we'll talk about it. I'll show you how it looks, but it's just a fun tool and we highly recommend that you guys use it again for either research or report. Today's topic, scams and fraud and how it plays into our daily life. We'll just talk about what kind of scams there are, top scams of 2021, warning signs, tips, and where to report. So let's take a look at just some statistics. So it gives us an idea of how prevalent scams are. And this is basic and we'll go into more details as we go through the slides. But in the US, 1 in 10 adults will fall victim to a scam or fraud every year. In 2018, 82% of organizations were victims of payment fraud. Around 50% of people contacted by a scammer engaged with them. So 50% of the time, or 50% of individuals will engage with a scammer. So some people ask me, well, these scams are so obvious and, people are smart and know, like, is this still happening? Yes, it's happening. It's happening on a daily basis. Scammers are extremely intelligent. They're adaptable. They adapt to new things that are happening in the world or to events, whatever's happening, they will adapt their schemes to it. And there will always be people who will fall for it. And that's why there will always be a need for education, for workshops, for webinars to talk about this, what we're seeing, what the trends are, what the patterns are, and how you can protect yourself from these scammers. So of those approached by scammers on social media, 91% engaged with the scammer. So we are seeing that social media is a huge area of concern, right? Because 91% of people who were targeted by a scammer somehow engaged with them. Even probably some even thought it was, something a little shady, but they continued on with whatever that scam was. And 53% actually lost money. So again, huge problem when it comes to social media scams. And with the next point, it kind of makes sense because 83 million Facebook accounts are fake, and they're designed essentially to be parts of some sort of scam. I mean, it could be just, people creating extra profiles to do some cyber stalking or whatever, I don't know. But majority of these fake profiles are designed to scam people. Interestingly enough, Americans are significantly more likely to be a victim of identity theft than any other nationality. So something to keep in mind. Employment scams are among the most effective. And when I say effective, it's for the scammer, not for people, with 81% of people approach engaging with the scammers and 25 losing money. So anytime someone is targeted with an employment scam, 81% of those people will engage with a scammer. And then online purchase scams are at the top with 84% engagement and 47% money loss. So that just gives you an idea of why we're here, why we're talking about this, why BBB is talking about this, and why you're here, and what you need to know so that you're not part of those numbers that we just went through. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so this is the BBB scam tracker, right? It's an actual screenshot on, it's mobile friendly as well. So what you're gonna see, it's a map of North America, and these plots, right? These points of entry that indicate concentration of scams. And you can actually click on those plots and it will expand. And you can drill down all the way to your own zip code and see what's happening in your own neighborhood. What kind of scams are being reported, who's being scammed. So this is a great and interactive real-time tool that you can use to be safe or to warn others. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide. And just talk a little bit about, how else this BBB scam tracker is being utilized. Not only is it allowing to report or research a scam, but BBB also takes all that data that has been reported, and it uses to bring an annual BBB scam tracker risk report. So it takes all that data and it puts it in a report, and that's what we're gonna go off of today. That's the data that we will discuss, everything that they put in this report, and from what's being reported by consumers, we're gonna go over that just to give you an idea of what's going on in the marketplace. And in 2021, BBB scam tracker saw, over 1.5 million unique visitors to BBB scam tracker. So not repeats, but unique. And out of those, nearly 50% went there to determine whether they were experiencing a scam. So that goes back to, again, you can use this to protect yourself, not just report being a victim. You can protect yourself by going in there and seeing, again, just typing in maybe a name or a keyword or some type of scam, something's happening, and it will give you a list of other individuals who have reported the same thing. And as you can see, about 1 out of every 5 visitors were able to determine that they were experiencing a scam, and it helped them avoid losing money, which on average or median was $169. And just taking this into consideration, how many people we were able to prevent from going forward with a scam with this median number of monetary loss, BBB in 1 year was able to save over $31 million for consumers just with this one particular BBB scam tracker tool. So it's an incredible tool. Utilize it, tell others about it. But it's free and it's online and it's easy to get to. It's bb.org/scam tracker. And this is not just going to be a report of scams that were reported. We're going a little bit further, a step further, and we are developing an index, a risk index, right? And that is a simple formula or a simple equation of exposure of a certain scam, susceptibility of the victim to fall for that scam, and then monetary loss. So we're just multiplying these factors and coming up with the risk index for each scam. And that's what we're going to take a look at today. Based on these 3 factors and on this equation, we're going to talk about most riskiest scams that are targeting consumers and businesses. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next slide. And top 3 riskiest scams reported by consumers are going to be online purchase, cryptocurrency, and employment. So as a consumer, and I know some of you are business owners, and as a business owner, you are always a consumer, right? So this applies to absolutely everyone on this webinar. And the way online purchase scam works is typically it will involve a purchase of product or service where a transaction occurs via website or other online means. And then scammers essentially give you attractive deals. It's an ad that pops up on social media or something that you found in your search engine. It's just a great deal and it's a little too good to be true, but you want to do it anyway. So you click on it, you go to the website, you give them information, you pay for it, and you, very best case scenario, receive a very low quality or counterfeit product. But most of the time you receive nothing and your money is, taken. You lost that money and then possibly your other information, which may lead to identity theft. So that's how online purchase works. Online purchase scam works. And it's at number one, given our risk factor. Then cryptocurrency. These scams involve the purchase, trade, or storage of digital assets known as cryptocurrencies. The situation often involves fraudulent initial coin offerings, right? So a type of fundraising mechanism in which a company issues its own cryptocurrency to raise capital, and then investors are scammed into paying money or trading their own digital assets, even though the scammer had no intention of ever building that company. It was a scam from the get-go, and there's just, you're out of that money. Not to say that all cryptocurrency is a scam. I just want to make that point clear. There are legitimate cryptocurrency stocks and all kinds of stuff that people invest in. So I just want to make that distinction, that you need to make sure you know which cryptocurrency you're dealing with, and is it backed by anything, or is it, is it registered? Just do your due diligence before you invest into cryptocurrency. I feel like story time coming on here, because not too long ago, well, maybe a year or so ago, on good authority, I had it that one particular cryptocurrency was going to blow up and it was going to get endorsed by Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live. And of course, when I say good authority, I just mean my friends. And naturally, I listened to them and I bought X amount of shares for that particular cryptocurrency without doing any further research, thinking, well, if Elon is going to endorse it, it's going to blow up, I'm going to make a lot of money. So I bought the shares, and then of course, Elon did not endorse it. So I watched the entire thing just tank. And even though it was a legitimate stock, but still without any research into it and not being familiar with cryptocurrency and the shares and all of that, I ended up taking a loss. I mean, I'm not mad about it. It's, learned a valuable life lesson. Do not trust Elon Musk or your friends. I'm just kidding. No, it's not that. I learned to not just listen to someone and, invest my money based on someone's just, hey, I heard this, you got to do your research. So that's just my little spiel there about cryptocurrency. Not all of it is, a scam, but you still got to be careful to watch what you're buying, trading, and selling. And then number 3, most riskiest scam for consumers is going to be employment, right? So job applicants are led to believe they are applying for, or have been actually hired for, a promising new job, when instead they have given personal information via fake application, or money, they sent for training they might need. So this is very prevalent right now, especially with remote work situations. A lot of scammers, and I just actually had an opportunity to prevent something like this happening for a close family member of mine who was in the market looking for a job, and this amazing opportunity came across her inbox, and it was a remote situation, and it just too good to be true. Didn't require any education, didn't really require any experience. The pay was amazing, and things were lining up so nice. So I said, listen, you gotta take a look at it. You gotta research the company name, put the company name and work and scam next to it in the search engine and see what comes up. So long story short, it was a scam, and they wanted her to provide them with all this information real quick. There was urgency, you're the perfect candidate we're hiring you ASAP, like yesterday, just give us this information and you'll be working for us. So essentially that was a scam. She was gonna lose her information because they wanted her social security number before she was even hired. So before she got the letter of being hired, they already wanted her social security number. So those all are warning signs, like the urgency request to provide personal information early on, or, all of these too good to be true red flags. Those are all things that you need to be on the lookout for employment scams. And if you guys have any questions later on about any of these, please put that in a chat and we'll go over it in more detail. But let's go ahead and take a look at what scams or top 3 riskiest scams that are reported that are targeting businesses. And it's going to be fake invoice and supplier bills. So essentially employees pay for products that the business did not order and don't even exist. And it's really, it's a sneaky type of thing. So the scammers will just send them invoices via email or just mail them, and have these businesses, especially if it's a little bit of a bigger business or a small business that doesn't really have anyone to keep an eye on things like that, they will pay it just because it came to them, right? So you got to be careful. Make sure you know what services that you're paying for. Do you have this vendor? Do you even purchase any supplies of that amount or of that type? Like, does this invoice or bill actually belong to you, and have you received goods or services before you pay? Number 2, bank and credit card company imposter. By impersonating a bank or a credit card issuer, the scammer pretends to verify account information to get their targets to share credit card and banking information. So again, busy business owners sometimes don't take a second to think about, hey, I got this random call. They're saying they're my bank. There's something wrong with my account. Yet they want me to verify my account number, my social security number to potentially, fix that issue. That's a red flag. If you receive an email that wants you to do that, or a phone call where they're asking you, and of course it's going to be urgent and it's going to be like, oh, something's wrong with your account, and they're just going to get you to give them as much info as you can, as fast as you can. So that's red flag, right? So if you're still worried that something's wrong with your bank account or your credit card account, this is what you do. You hang up that call, you delete that email, you go to your statements, right? Or go and then find the number to your bank account, and you find the number to your credit card company, and you call them. They will ask you some, identifying information, because now you are initiating that contact. So they will ask you to verify some things, but now you know that you called a legitimate number. You actually called the company that you need to talk to, and it's okay to provide them with that information. It's not okay to provide them with information when the contact is initiated by them. So you just always want to discontinue that, initiate contact on your own, and then see what's going on with their account. And most often than not, they're going to tell you nothing is wrong with your account, and that was an attempt to scam you. And then very last one is going to be worthless problem-solving services. So these are scammers who are on lookout for companies who might need like a low cost solution to problems that many businesses might have. For example, they might claim they will clean up your online reputation, or if you're struggling with debt or back taxes, they will do it for you. But all you have to do is pay upfront fees, right? So that's where they get you. You pay them money and they disappear. Essentially, this is as easy as explanation goes for this particular scam. So before you do that, verify the company, really think, do I need their services, and never pay upfront. They might sometimes, if a legitimate company, will require a deposit, but never pay full price upfront for something you have not received. So that's the takeaway there. If we take a look at the next slide, I just want you guys to take a look at it, and this will indicate where you fall. First of all, in your age group. So the top, bar with tabs shows you your group age. So identify your group age and see which scams are most riskiest for you, right? So all across the board for each age group, it's going to be online purchase scams. And again, this is based on the reports that BUB has been receiving through our BUB scam tracker. And then depending on where you are in that group, age group, it could be cryptocurrency, it could be travel, and then employment scams for number 2. And then for number 3, it's kind of scattered across, you know, it could be investment, employment, home improvement. So, but number 1 for absolutely everyone starting at 18 and ending at 65 plus is going to be that online purchase scams, because it's so, the exposure to it is enormous, right? We're always online, we're on social media, we're doing things constantly on internet. So exposure is enormous, and therefore it's very easy to fall for a particular online purchase scam. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide, which will indicate. And again, this is just kind of data and plots and graphs that we did using what has been reported to us, right? And the very top graph where we have the dark blue and the light blue bars, the dark blue represents exposure level and light blue susceptibility to become a victim. And then the age group right underneath those bars. So for example, we see that 18 to 24-year-olds, their exposure to scams is not as great. It's only at 7.1%, but their susceptibility to become a victim is nearly 51%. So over 50% of the time, they're going to become victim to a scam, even though they're not heavily exposed to it. And then we go all the way to the other side of the graph, and we see 65 plus have a pretty decent exposure level at 18.6%, but they are less likely to be victim of a scam. And not too long ago, everyone believed that older generation is more susceptible to becoming a victim to a scam, they're not, current on the times, they're this or that. But our research shows that older generation is a lot smarter and wiser than our youngsters, and they are not falling victim to a scam as easily as our younger generations. And then the bottom right under that, we're just looking at overall median dollars lost, right? So, and I think we're cutting off the age group, unfortunately, but I can tell you their age groups, they kind of correlate with the top. So we can see that those 65 and older lose about $200, their median loss would be for each victim. It's a little bit higher because, people in this age group actually have savings. They have all kinds of monetary resources that they can essentially, as bad as it sounds, they lose more because they have more, at least according to our research. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide, which will give us and you an idea of how which is means of contact, right? So method of contact or means of contact that these scammers are getting to us. And it's not, out of 100%, how many, were targeted by website or social media. It's literally the blue graph shows you susceptibility, right? How likely are you or people to fall victim to a scam using that method of contact? So website, number 1, 73.7% of susceptibility to become a victim. Social media, just right there at 72. And then if we kind of look over email, phone, that's still a thing. A lot of people fall victim to scams over the phone, internet messaging, a text message, online classifieds, half of them fall victim to the scammers. In person, and this one was interesting. So in person, we're seeing that over 56% fall victim to a scammer that is right in front of them. It's not over email, it's not over phone, it's in person. So I was thinking maybe like a Craigslist ad or something like that. And take a look at that median loss to in-person scammer. It's $700. That is the highest one that we have. So be very careful who you deal with, who you give your information to or your money to, or who you're buying from, right? So just be very careful if you're buying something on Craigslist or, Facebook Marketplace. Make sure you meet, in a public place. Never send money up front for anything you haven't received. So these are all the same rules that follow for every scam. So just be careful out there and just know these are the means of contact, and each of these means has monetary loss to it. So again, it's not like the scammers are working hard night and day trying to scam us and we're just too smart to fall victim for it and it's not happening. No, we're falling victim to it, and there's actual monetary proof to back that. Let's take a look at the next slide, which will indicate how people pay, right? How do victims lose their money? And this will be percentage wise in terms of out of all reports. Credit card came in highest at 37.7%. So almost 38% of all victims lose their money via credit card, but their median loss is not so much. It's only $85. Online payment systems like Cash Apps or Venmo or other things like that, and median loss there, as you can see, is $200, which is quite a lot. Bank account and debit cards, prepaid cards is a thing. And take a look at the number of the monetary loss for prepaid cards, $700. So a lot of scammers get people to go buy prepaid cards and load money on them and then give them the numbers. They just wipe it. Cryptocurrency, $1,200 median monetary loss. That's a lot. Checks $900, and then we see cash, and then wire transfers. Wire transfer coming in at the highest median loss of over $1,400. So again, know these things. So if someone is wanting you to do any of these things, wants you to go to Western Union and wire money for whatever reason, because grandparents scam, for example. You get a call in the middle of the night, someone on the other line is like, Grandpa, this is me, Billy. I am in, I'm traveling to whatever, either state or country. We were drinking, was driving, we got into a accident. Now they're holding me and I need money for either bail. So they're making it sound that it is your grandchild, and they will want you to go ahead and wire them money for that grandchild to get their bail, or sometimes they even go as far as, we're in this unknown country that we need to pay off police, so they release us. So they get very elaborate. If you guys are interested to read about these, BB.org has studies on all of these scams, and it goes into detail of how this really works. So be careful again with all of these, because scammers are good. Before they call you, they get all kinds of information about you, about your family. They go through your social media accounts. So they know you have a grandson named Billy. They know he might be traveling. So they're just waiting for a perfect opportunity to call you in the middle of the night, scare you half to death, and have you running to the next, Walgreens or whatever, and wire transfer them all that money. So again, no one can protect you as much as you can protect yourself. Okay. So you need to know these things before they happen to you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide. And when we do that, I just want to talk briefly about non-monetary damages, right? And losses. So it's not just going to be that money that you lost. It lost time. 55% of respondents reported they had lost time, to being a victim of scam, and then tried to fix it, and all of that. Lost confidence and peace of mind. They feel some type of way now about falling victim to a scam. Now they're stressed about it. They lost money. Their accounts are compromised. Their devices are compromised. Now they don't trust anything. So there's that. loss of personal information, loss of financial and credit health. Like if you are a victim of identity theft, that's going to follow you your entire life. So that's going to be really hard to clean up. And of course, some reported lost potential earnings. So again, it's not just monetary loss that you will have once you're a victim of a scam. There's a whole train of other damages and losses that will follow that initial monetary loss. Let's take a look at what we have next, and just warning signs, right? So something that you need to know and keep in the back of your mind. So if a scammer is trying to approach you and you're seeing these red flags or these warning signs, you know immediately, right, from the top of your head, that this is a scam. I'm not even going to engage, right? So there's always going to be urgency. Almost regardless of what kind of scam it is, there's always going to be urgency. Threats and fear tactics, always going to be present almost all of the time. Request for immediate payment, request for unrecoverable payment methods such as cash, gift cards, wire funds, or money orders. So if someone wants you to do that, these are essentially untraceable and unrecoverable. So make sure that you don't do this. You don't go and wire anyone any money, or go buy gift cards and read off the numbers to the scammer on the other side of the phone because they said they were with IRS and they're coming to arrest you for not paying your taxes. But now with recent developments, I actually think that's a bad example. Whatever, just make sure that you don't do that. And then requests for personal information. Again, anytime someone reaches out to you and they want you to give them your personal information, do not do it. Do not do it. End that call, delete the email. If you're worried about your accounts, initiate the contact on your own. Let's take a look at the next slide, which will tell us, and this is very, very straightforward. Almost everyone knows it, but I feel like it's a good reminder for us to always be on the lookout of how to tell that the website is secure. Number one, the URL will always begin with HTTPS. That letter S is not present in unsecured websites. The S stands for secure. So that's what you want to look for in every website that you're dealing with, especially if you're purchasing from them. HTTPS, secure. The padlock icon at the start of the URL. Sometimes there's some on the bottom, but the one right next in the bar for the URL, there needs to be a lock there. Again, it indicates a secure website, as well as some websites have the URL in green color. Like for example, Chase, for me, when I open it, it has that. So where it says chase.com, so on and so forth, it's going to be in green. That also indicates that it's a secured website. There's other ways to do it, which are more technical. You can right click like on a side of the web page, go into page source or info, and then see if it's encrypted. But why do that if you can just have visual cues like such to know if this is a secured and trustworthy website? Let's look at our next slide, and we will talk about, let's see, what will we talk about on our next slide? Oh, tips. Always a good thing to talk about is going to be tips, how to, and this is going to be for businesses, right? So how to avoid being a victim to the scams that we talked about. So keeping good records, keeping documentation of all orders and purchases will help you detect bogus accounts and invoices. So what we talked about, the number 2 and number 1 scams, riskiest scam for a business was, fake invoice. Voila, just keep a really good record of what you actually purchased. And then if something comes in, you'll know for, hey, this, cross-reference with your records. This is not it. We've never bought this. We never ordered this. This is a scam. Throw it away. Be extra careful with your payment procedures, establish payment authorization procedures, including a multi-person approval process for a transaction above a certain dollar threshold, right? So if it's what you decide what that threshold is, it could be 1,000, it could be 500, it could be 100, but you need to set up a approval process that takes 2 people, because it's harder to fool 2 people. So if one gets bamboozled, the other one will take a look at it and say, hey, we don't have this account, or we don't have this vendor, or we already paid for this. This looks like a fake duplicate. So just have more eyes on those invoices or bills before your own money, walks out the door. And then avoid some payment methods when possible. We talked about, how these scammers get the money. So wire transfers, prepaid debit cards, gift cards, these are all, their preferred methods of payment. So don't make it easy on them, and don't play into their hand. Double check your vendors, make sure that the business billing you is a business you're familiar with, right? So just question everything. And you'll be safer for that. And then, of course, be careful what information you are sharing. Do not give out your information about your business unless you know what the information will be used for. And I think I can't see the bottom of this, so we'll just go ahead and go to the next slide and talk about what's on that slide. Oh, we're going backwards. Let's go forward. Okay, general tips. So we just gave you tips for, for businesses, but now let's just talk in general. This is consumers and business owners alike. Do not click on unknown website links. So this again goes to either you received an email with a link they want you to click, or you see something on social media that looks like maybe you want to check it out. If it looks suspicious, or again, if you went there already and there's none of those visual cues that it's a secure website, do not proceed. Do not click on ads that are too good to be true, that just, randomly pop up and, offer you, Mac Pro for $50. That's just generally not a good idea to click on that. Bad spelling and poor grammar are common in scams from overseas. And it's funny, as I was typing this in, I actually misspelled some of the things in this particular bullet point. So I just thought that was ironic, but I corrected it. But anytime you see an email with, poor grammar and just like misspellings, that's a huge indicator that it's a scammer from overseas, not familiar with our language and our grammar, and they're trying to scam you. Real company logos in an email does not automatically indicate that it's a legitimate email. We've talked about on our previous webinars that most of phishing emails display logos of legitimate companies to make it look like it's coming from them. Just because it has a logo does not mean Amazon is sending you an email and wants you to click on links. Read URLs carefully, because what scammers tend to do is they mimic real companies' URL address and just change it slightly, but now it's their own. Now it's a malicious website, right? So you might not even realize that you thought it was, XYZ company that you're clicking on and you're on their website, when in fact it's a duplicate. It's mimicking that website. And this is a scammer website where you're gonna lose money, lose information, and probably compromise your device. If someone tells you, and there's that misspelling. If someone told you that you won a contest that you didn't enter, be suspicious. So you can't win something that you did not enter or buy a ticket for, right? So if someone just randomly, calls you an email so that you want something, be very suspicious, especially if they want you to pay some fees up front to receive your prize. So that's a huge red flag that this is just a scam, and that you need to just, end that conversation and not proceed. Let's take a look at the next slide. and where to report, right? If you are a victim of a scam, definitely report to BBB Scam Tracker, and the URL is bb.org/forward scam tracker. You can always report to local police or sheriff's office, and then Federal Trade Commission or Attorney General. So these are the areas where you can go and report being a victim of a scam. And again, it's not to guarantee that the police department or will start immediately investigating and will get your money back. Like, that's not a guarantee, but you need to go ahead and make the report anyway, so that you have that documentation. Or if you made a report and then someone else had a similar experience and they provide same information, report it to police. Now the police has some kind of a pattern to work with, and they might actually look into it. So it's highly recommended that you always report to as many places and organizations as you can. It's going to help you, and it's going to help others as well. And with that said, I think this might be our very last slide for me. Let's take a look what's next. Yeah, that was the last slide. So I'll go ahead. We'll chat after this slide. So if you have any questions, but I'm going to turn it over to Tom and have him talk more about SCORE.
We're going to have a lot of questions, Lilia. I see a lot popped up. I need to apologize. I wasn't checking. I thought the transcribing was on auto, and it was not. So we didn't get most of that transcribed. So what we'll do is we'll go back over it and run it through a transcriber. And when we send out the video, we'll have the complete transcription of your talk. But it's running now. So let me just tell you, we have a vast resource and library of materials you can check. This is a live link. When you get it, we want you to make it available. Our local website is centralvalley.score.org. There you can request a mentor, and we'll walk you back through these things and how to start a business plan and any number of questions that you may have. We're there to answer. And if you're someone who's got a track record and a little bit of experience under your belt, we'd love to have you as a volunteer. And there's a link there for that as well. We'd like for you to take a closing poll, and that poll is, let me try this. I'm trying out some new skills and non-skills today. So you may have seen some of the slides go back and forth. That's an old man learning new tricks. That was actually our opening poll. So we want the closing poll. Closing poll. Ah, there it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lilia worked so hard to be so professional today, to be backed up by such a klutz. But here we go. Did you get information that will help prevent you from being scammed? Yes or no? Number two is, would you like to request a SCORE mentor to help you with your business security strategy or anything? Those are the only two questions. Did you get something you can go to the bank with that you can use? And would you like to request a SCORE mentor, either to help you with your business security strategy or your business plan or anything else? I'll give you another moment on that. Okay, I'm getting ready to end the poll in a second. Get your vote in. Okay, here are the results. All of you got something you can go to the bank with, and either you're here because you've had a mentor or you don't need a mentor. That's most of you, but we do have at least one who would like to request a mentor. Now, Lilia, we're going to move into our question and answer period.
Sure.
this is so valuable for everyone. And I'm going to make sure I've got them in front of me. And some of them are, are a little long, which is good, I think. But we had some even from the beginning. Would you say that when the employment category, people calling you about employment, does this also include business opportunity calls and requests and emails?
Can you rephrase a little bit for, are we talking about when someone is contacting a business to be a vendor or employer? What are we really talking about?
It's businesses are often targeted by recruitment from marketing companies and other kinds of companies that are trying to recruit business people, not just to be employed, or actually individuals are being recruited both in text and online. And by phone.
We've seen that. We've seen that businesses get solicitation for quite a few things. Either someone wants to, do something for them, or they're actually recruiting the business owner to go work for them or their staff. So it's not a huge, as you can see, it's not been hugely reported in the scam tracker, but we do know that how and it's just being very careful about again, it's not exactly what happens, how the scam happens, is what your reaction is. I think this is what we're really trying to talk about here, is what you do is what we want to focus on. Is you never just blindly follow into that conversation or that prompt of giving out information, sharing information, giving out money. So you always want to do your homework. You always want to do your research, do the legwork, and protect yourself, because these scams, even though we can be like, well, this is the scam, that's how it works. What you have to realize that scammers adapt everything on a daily basis. So if this was, X, Y, and Z yesterday, they're gonna tweak it for today. So we can never be fully on top of it, of every scam. What we can be on top of is what we do and how we protect ourselves. And again, this is the biggest focus of this webinar, is knowing the red flags and knowing what to do and what not to do. But businesses, yes, they sometimes get scammed by these recruiters or vendors, or for any type of reason. Again, it could be for money, it could be for information, or to, in fact, compromise their device, to then leads to data breach. And we talked about this during our cybersecurity webinar. Hopefully that answers that question.
It does answer that question, and I'll give you another plug for Better Business Bureau. I would have saved a great deal of money, and I'm talking about not 3 figures, but 4 figures, if I had checked a particular business person who had been in business for a long time against the Better Business Bureau database and the comments. And this was several years ago when I still knew better. I did know better, but I needed to go to that person's local Better Business Bureau and check, because there was a file open. So a follow-up to that question is specific to LinkedIn. And I think that one of the things we want to differentiate, there are legitimate people out there recruiting, and making, I think you've sort of answered whether they're on LinkedIn or any other place, and there are illegitimate people on every platform.
Correct, they're everywhere. And I personally have seen scammers on LinkedIn contacting me for various reasons, various excuses, various topics through my LinkedIn account. So yes, be very careful. I know LinkedIn is considered to be a professional social platform. Be careful with what's going on LinkedIn. Again, some of them are marketing individuals who are trying to get you to, get their product. Some are recruiters and some are scammers.
Yes.
Remember that and operate within that frame.
Okay, so we have a comment about crypto, and this one individual is not in favor of using it. And so if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it.
Exactly. And it's not, again, not a lot of, this wasn't about, purchasing crypto stocks or shares. This was more about people falling victims to cryptocurrency scams because the scammers make it look lucrative. They make it look like you're going to make a lot of money if you invest, or even on social media. I don't know if a lot of you have seen, especially on Instagram, everyone's accounts are being hacked, and people are then promoting, oh, I just, invested on cryptocurrency, or I've been Bitcoin mining, and like it make it look like they're your friends. And then slightest information they can get from you, they will hack your account as well, and they just keep going, and it's snowballing. And at some point, 1/3 of my Instagram friends' accounts were hacked, and everything I saw was the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all kinds of scams happening. So again, this was not about purchasing crypto stocks or not. This is about knowing that cryptocurrency is a huge point for scammers to exploit.
Yeah. And by the way, Facebook, they don't even have to hack you, they can clone you. And that doesn't require, don't go change your password because you've been cloned. Report it to Facebook and they'll take that account down. But I think that I heard Warren Buffett say something years ago. He said, if you don't have the time and the energy to learn about something, don't invest in it. And that's where I am with a lot of these things. I haven't been ready to do the learning curve. And so I'm not a good investor in cryptocurrency.
I did it again. No, and again, I worked for BBB for 8 years. I should know better, but my friends told me it was the greatest idea since sliced cheese, and I believed them. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it just because. And again, it wasn't a scam, but I did not know enough about cryptocurrency and anything like that to go ahead and make that decision. So just, yeah, you're right. If you don't know what you know about this, don't invest in it if you don't know about it. So that's a really great advice.
And we do have some good advice coming up in the chat. I encourage everybody to read it.
I wanted to quickly, I noticed a fun one. What are the demographics for scammers? And I'll tell you this, we cannot tell you what the demographics for the scammers are because we don't have a specific race, ethnicity, age, gender, location, anything to tell you. They are everywhere, and we don't know who they are. So there isn't a way to identify a scammer because they could be your next door neighbor. They could be someone you know. There isn't a specific profile that we can give you to be on the lookout for. All we know is the majority of them live online. They meaning they will try to scam you using, online, website, phishing, email, so on and so forth. They're very intelligent. They're adaptable, they're very manipulative, and they tend to develop relationships with their victims to make it easier for the victim to give up that money and trust them to go to Western Union and transfer $1,500. So they are masters of manipulation. Yeah. And they are, I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, but they are essentially sociopath or psychopaths because they have all of the, check marks. They're lying, they're manipulating, they are doing all of these things. They're quick on their feet, and they will get you if you don't know what to look for.
Yeah. Martin, sometimes we don't take our own advice, but we try, we live and learn. In my case, I was looking for a very specialized person. I had done a lot of research. I had just not checked that local Better Business Bureau. I'd had several conversations with a guy. So it verifies what Lilia just said. I had sought him out to broker something in a very specialized field. And I had paperwork, I had all sorts of things. But you're right, these people are very smart and they'll sound very professional. Many of the business corp owners say that the US lower incomers have become too scary to hire. So we're switching to robots and androids. My own corp never use just not sure what, I'm not reading that right, but we'll pass that on to you. Oh yeah, I understand. Could we get a copy of the link to the cybersecurity webinar that you mentioned?
We can definitely ask Christina to include that in a follow-up email, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And I will also, what I will do is I will send over that 2021 BAB scam tracker risk report. And so that you guys have access to it and you can read through it, a lot of great information. And so what we talked about today on a larger scale, more detailed, explained. And so you can then use that for your own advantage.
I'm told my email compromised via LinkedIn account. I received all kinds of nasty email. Should I close that email address? I think that LinkedIn sends you a notice that you've received a message. It doesn't send you an entire message, does it, through your email?
This one is interesting. I told my email compromised via my LinkedIn account. So I wonder if the LinkedIn account was hacked and then everything in that account was then exposed. So you could change the password to that email, which would prevent, any type of hacking into your email. Other than that, if just because, they have your email address, they can't really do anything without, especially if it's public. We share our email address with everyone at all times. So having them have that is not a big deal. It's having them have a password, which was probably the same as to your LinkedIn account. Mm-hmm. So they were able to get into your email account. So that's where the problem lies. Change your password for LinkedIn, change your password for email, keep them different so that once something is compromised, and that's what scammers know, we almost all use the same password with slight deviations from account to account. So it's easy to hack all of our accounts if they hack one, because they will know the password to all. So that's just something that I highly recommend, is changing up your passwords.
Definitely. And when I said about Facebook, I didn't mean don't change your password regularly. I just mean those are, cloning and password accounts are two different things. Will there be a link to the scam site? Yeah.
Yes, I will share that. Absolutely.
A couple other things that came up, and maybe you'll recognize this. The other night, and this has been, I've kept this conversation going because I'm very curious, where it's going to go. And I'm also, I want to err on the side of maybe I've made a new friend, but a guy sends me a text that says, "How are you?" And I wrote back, I said, "I'm fine. But who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?" And they wrote back and said, "Oh, maybe I got the wrong number." So we're doing this back and forth, and the conversation's going, and I hear that, and they said, "I have a lot of business associates. I think I may have confused you for Chris." I said, "No, I'm not Chris, I'm Tom." And blah, blah, blah. And we're going, it's been like 3 days, and I'm waiting for the pitch, or I'm waiting for the hook. I don't recommend anybody else do that, but I'm playing with the guy, and he may be legitimate, and I'd like to find out. But I will get information from him before he gets information from me. So have you heard of people using wrong number texts as a way of phishing?
I'm sorry, I do apologize. Can you repeat that? You cut out.
I'm sorry. Have you heard of people using wrong number text messages as a way of phishing? P-H-I-S-H.
Yes. Correct. It's called smishing. As one of the variations of phishing. And you're actually absolutely right. Just a few weeks back, I had 3 of those, and I was like, what is going on? How many people can get, the wrong number and just keep are you okay? That was literally the text that came in. And I was like, this is just too weird. So, but I imagine if you continue to engage, they will try and pull something out of you to then continue that conversation and get info out of you. So text message phishing is definitely a thing. And if you don't know who it is, don't engage.
Right, right. I'm thinking that most everything else, I know you're looking at this too, were comments and interaction with this. Video calling, isn't this a major security boon? Well, any technology, Martin, they're going to find a way to try to crack it. What do you think on that, Lilia?
Isn't this a major security video calling? Again, yeah, anything that is, over internet, anything that is connected, Internet of Things, everything is always, at a risk of being hacked, compromised. So this is again where you come in as someone who needs to protect your own device. So you need to have those firewalls in place. You need to have an up-to-date virus protection on your devices. Those are the things that you can do, ahead of time to protect your device. Not clicking on weird websites or links while you're on video call. For whatever reason, it's just, just the things that you do, because everything is hackable. Everything can be compromised. It's almost like we have to live with it, but it's how we live with it that's really gonna determine the quality of our life and whether or not we're victims of a scam.
I think the slides you showed that was most worthy of a screenshot was the one that showed how to identify whether a URL was secure or not by the S and the color and the lock.
Yeah.
That was so valuable that I am actually going to do a screenshot of that and keep it handy.
It's so simple. It's so simple, but sometimes simplest things are the most valuable things that we take for granted. Even sometimes myself, I go to a website and then I catch myself not looking at that URL and that padlock. It's like, what am I doing? I need to check that first. So just keep that in mind every time you're on the website.
So we had two in the Q&A other than the chat. One is about Trojan viruses on one computer affecting our other computers in the home. What can you do to, I'm kind of smoothing this one over a little bit from the details. What can you do to correct that? And I think in one of the other webinars, you talk about how the virus can get into your router.
Yeah, once one device is compromised, whatever's connected to it through Wi-Fi is going to also be compromised. So I think that's what they already talked about. It's affecting our other computers. And what should we consider doing other than changing the passwords? Well, everything they actually said here is great. Change password, email accounts, changing bank account numbers. I mean, this is going very extensive of credit freeze, a fraud alert. I mean, these are all the things that I would recommend. Of course, taking your device to be scrubbed by a professional, and then definitely having that antivirus installed is something I can recommend that was not mentioned, but I'm sure the individual probably already thought about that. Monitor your credit report. I mean, obviously you're putting a freeze on it, so that's going to help you tremendously. And then monitor all your other statements, your bank statements, your credit card statements, and be on the lookout for perhaps credit cards that you didn't order that were already, ordered prior to you putting in on the credit alert and credit freeze. Just be on the lookout for things out of ordinary, anomalies, and things that you did not authorize. But these are all great things. I mean, there's not much I can add to it. Fantastic. Sorry to hear that happened.
And somebody's concerned that the smaller credit bureaus could be, other than the big three, could be selling their data to data brokers. And should they supply data to the smaller credit bureaus like ChexSystems, Certegy, Innovis, Clarity, and
let me ask you this: are these really credit bureaus, or are they just companies, database companies? I personally deal with the three major ones, and I don't, follow anything other than that. So, and when it comes to selling information from, organizations as such, whatever those are, those databases, that's up to you. If you want to give them your information, you got to review their privacy policy. You have to talk to them what they do with your information. So again, there's definitely laws in place, and the laws are very, wide and depending on what organizations do. So they can do some things, cannot do others. So this is an iffy area. I personally say the 3 major credit bureaus are where you need to be concerned. And then if you're concerned about your information being sold, eliminate and minimize the amount of organizations that have your information.
Isn't
That's
it
what you
true
need to
that if they have a right to that information, they can get it on their own? If they're real credit bureaus?
Say that again?
We wouldn't really need to supply any information to a credit bureau.
Correct.
That's being supplied to them already if they're legitimate.
Correct. The legitimate credit bureaus have all our information, and it's updated fairly quickly. Actually, you open up an account, it's going to show up on your report fairly quickly. You owe someone a credit card debt, it's going to show up. You have a bankruptcy, it's going to show up. So we don't need to supply any type of information to them. They have it, and there's no way of hiding that information from them. So that's just what I'm going to leave you with.
And there are a lot of follow-up questions to this one issue with our attendee here. And I think that we would love to explore these with you on a personal basis with a mentor and help you find the information. So if you would contact us and request a mentor, or if you would just email us back and say you have a question. But I think the best way to get more information on how this affected you with your data theft and the credit bureaus, and even on the dark web, we can refer you back to the webinar where Lilia actually discussed the dark web. And we can get you that webinar to listen to. And so we can continue this conversation.
I see one that I really want to touch on, if you don't mind, Tom.
Yeah.
The one that says,
Please.
be aware scammers do create their own secured website. And that is true. It is not to say that every secured website is absolutely 100% a legitimate company. There are scammers that will go far to make their website look legitimate. So, but this is the start, right? So not a lot of scammers, because putting in those security measures, it takes time, and it actually it's costly to put those security measures in place. So some lower level scammers will not do it. If it's a very grand scam that involves lots of layers and levels, they might do that. But that's again where you then come in. You need to look for things that don't make sense on that website. And if you do purchase something from that website, use a credit card. So that's one thing I can recommend. Use a credit card. It has more protection in place in terms of you have more time to discover an unauthorized transaction. Or if you purchase something and it never came in, but it's been a month or 2 or 3, you can still dispute that with your credit card. So if best suggestion I can give to this particular comment that even scammers have secured website is that be careful what you're doing on that website. If it's asking you too much information, use your wisdom there and be like, maybe that's not required. And then if you're buying something, use a credit card that gives you more protection measures than a banking debit card.
And you did raise a very important issue on the employment, and in terms of the information you're required to give, employment and business opportunities. If you've done all your due diligence and really believe you're dealing with a legitimate company, they're going to have to get your social security number in order to pay you. That's the law. So that's check all over the place. Check every possible source you can.
Yeah, but again, a legitimate company will not ask you that on your application unless there are industries where they need to check your credit history. some banking and some, if you're trying to apply for the government job, there will be some instances, but your regular jobs will not need your social security number if you're applying to work at a firm or an office until you have that letter of intent,
Yeah.
I believe, so, to hire. And then
Right.
they will need your social to set up your payroll. So
On a
that's that.
federal form, not on a.
A
Yeah,
piece of
it's
paper
just-
on a napkin under the table,
Oh,
correct?
that's right.
Yes. it will
Okay,
be-
so one of our listeners has a clever way of keeping things separate. He has a computer for every function. He has a computer that's just dedicated for emails. I suppose if you do that, that would mean me sacrificing a great deal of convenience for the sake of safety. But I see why that could be helpful to you. But the thing is, it's not foolproof, because if you're using Gmail, everything is shared across all the platforms. Everything is shared on all my computers. When I update my calendar, it's on all my devices updated. So I do what works for you, though. Yeah, use as many security devices that help you feel comfortable. Let me make sure that I'm not missing too much. Again, the person who had the problem with the Trojan, please do contact us through email. And if you can't get through, you can email me personally at tom.sims@scorevolunteer.org, and I will get you in touch with the right people and help you figure out. The best way is for you to go to centralvalley.score.org, find the place that says ask for a mentor, and we'll get somebody on that as quickly as possible. Anything else that I might have missed? You go ahead and put that up in the chat.
I see
Wait.
one. It says, is Mac OS safer than Windows
Oh.
PC? Both operating systems have security measures in place. There's not one better than others. As long as you're keeping up with them, you have the updates, you have your antivirus, both should be sufficient. So it's not to say you will do better with one than another, honestly. And this comes back, I don't know if you remember, Devery from Commworld said the same thing when he was asked about phones. And he said, it literally does not matter. Both companies, both operating systems have all kinds of security measures in place. It's not like one completely neglected it and the other one is on top of it. It's your preference, and it's your also your responsibility to make sure you're up to date on everything.
Yes. Say that slowly. Two big ifs. One was if you keep your updates up to date, and if you have antivirus software. Very important. One has to be diligent. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Scam through a university portal. Yeah, I've ended up on some university portals and found stuff I wasn't looking for. So you can't, one of the things about university portals is they've got a lot of university students who have access to them.
And they could have easily been hacked, and just off of there, the scammer decided, hey, this is a great area to get my victims because it's a portal. It has all these students have access to it. So just from that one portal, he could have gotten lots of victims. And I'm glad that our viewer found it to be too suspicious and did not continue the communications. I'm glad you did that.
That was Anna who used the word vigilant, and that is the operative word for this entire series of webinars. And I think, Lilia, you have driven this home to us so well, and we really appreciate that. And I think at this point, we're going to say happy lunch, happy life. We certainly look forward to more interaction with you and walking through with you. And we will, one way or another, we're going to get that full transcript out. And again, I apologize for my incompetence, but you know how it goes. Teach an old dog new tricks. We've had a great day with you, all of you, and we're so glad you're here. And Lilia, thank you that you're a new dog, but you've got great new tricks too.
Thank you. I'm always glad to be here and share whatever information I might have. Hopefully it was helpful to you guys. And we will have our webinar next month, investment fraud. And I hope to see all of you guys there and we can have more discussion for sure.
Yeah, and Connie, we can't recommend one. We wish we could, but your mentor could maybe give you the names of 3 that would work for them. That's our standard. We can't recommend just one product. Most of them are good. Read the reviews online. All right, that's it. See all of you later. We're going to have a little debrief after you're all gone to lunch.